ask you to not refer to any persons by name or provide any contact details. I would like to ask the councillors please, I want to move presentation 4 to number 3 and 3 to 4 so that we can do the presentation as quickly as the public can. Are you all happy for me to move the agenda?
Yes.
Thank you. Apologies to the clerk, please.
Apologies from Councillor Gage, who is on holiday, from Councillor Hubbard, who is ill, and apologies from Sergeant Marshall from the police, who has previous engagement.
Okay, are we all happy to accept those? Yes. Thank you. Declarations of interest. Council to receive any declarations of interest in accordance with the requirements of the Localism Act 2011, and to consider any applications for dispensation in relation to disclosable pecuniary interest or personal interest. Do we have anybody here this evening on the council? Thank you. So I will happily now. It's my pleasure to present the following organisations with grants, which I will do. You'll be asked to come forward, and if you don't mind having a photograph taken, if you do, would you like to just let me know, and then we won't take a photo. So I'll come round the front, and then we will call you out individually, and allocate you your grants. Thank you. Drive Alive, and this grant is for mobile children, is it? Yes. Yeah, lovely. Here we go, congratulations. Thank you. And then the next one. Thank you. Spidey in Blue. Repairs the model train. Woohoo!
Have we got one, Brenda?
Oh, sorry, did you get one? Oh, yes.
Thanks very much.
Spidey Lions. And this is for fireworks, which is always a wonderful thing in Filey, I'm sure you're all very aware of. I think it might be...
No, it's on.
Smile again, Brenda.
Smile again.
Oh, never mind. I'll have the funny face.
It's not as good as me.
Restore Friday. This is for the young people's group. Now, are you ready, David?
I am.
No, it's a pleasure. Oh, Friends of Filey Park for the voice amplifier.
You need one of those, Catherine.
You're all very warm, you lot. I bet my cool hands are nice, aren't they? I'm just shaking. Oh, right. Final Literacy Festival for an act for the stage. Good.
Jackie.
Oh, steampunk.
Jackie, can you move that way a bit? Because you're getting too much
Steampunk.
chairs in.
Everyone sent higher.
Oh, yeah. Everyone centre higher.
Higher.
You need it for that.
You need it. Thank you, guys. Southstein Bowling.
She's got a new top on.
Excellent. For bowling.
Yeah.
Oh, St John's Youth Club. Bob Youth Club. We've got anybody here from St John's? No? That's it. I think we did have crew that were coming, but maybe didn't happen yet.
Finally, Big Angling Society.
Finally, Big Angling Society. Weighing in station. I might have a station as well.
You get a train.
Finally Methodist for the what, Dolly?
Chair.
Chair Dolly.
Chair Dolly.
How do you sound, Dolly? There we go. Thank you. So it's been a great pleasure for Bali Council to be able to give these awards to everybody. It's the most awards the council's given. So please all do, put forward what you would like, because we're here to help the community in any way that we can. You're very welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting. If you would like to leave, then please do so through the door, and don't forget to sign yourself out. Thank you very much. Just bear with people, please. We're just the gentleman just going to put the microphone for the recording to the radio.
No, good there on Friday. So if you do I shall teach it. I'll sit on Friday.
Are you okay?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So now we will go to number 4 now, which we've moved it around, haven't we? So anyway, so now we've got a public participation time of 15 minutes. Do we have any members of the public that would like to speak this evening? No? Okay. This is one. After them juggle numbers around. North Yorkshire Police Report. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Good evening to the members of the public and Colin. I may transfer any questions in relation to your report. It should be PC PS Adam Marshall, who's given his apologies tonight, so I'm here as a representative from North Yorkshire Police. There are a couple of bits on the report that I will sort of try and explain my best at this moment in time. We will see from the outset there are a couple of minor increases on there for both theft and violent offences. That is a usual spike that we get at this time of year. Once we start to have an influx of people, that is sort of has to be seen. It's not what we want in an ideal situation, but that is the more worrying one that you will see on the report is an increase in arsons on top of that. And I'm not sure if you're aware locally that we have had 5 arsons that we've been investigating. I don't know if you're aware of the locations of those. I'm quite happy to give you the details. It is in the public domain because we have been doing inquiries. 2 of those being on West Avenue, one being on Lowfield Farm, one above the Alabama Takeaway. 2 on West Avenue, one above the Alabama Takeaway, one on Lowfield Campsites, and another one on Pasture Crescent in Filey. We do have a suspect in mind for those. Arrest attempt was made yesterday for that suspect. Unfortunately, that wasn't made again. We do believe that's out of area at the moment, and so the risk is negated to anyone else in Filey at this present time, and arrest attempts will continue. If there's anything else that you would like to answer in regards to the report, I would imagine that there's going to be some questions.
I'm sure there is.
So by all means, I'll try
Any
my best.
councillors have any questions before I open this to the public? Councillor Casey.
The driver, the first incident, the driver of the vehicle, which has been reported numerous times for noise vehicle, he's still using his car, I'm led to believe, by members of the public, although not currently, because I saw it yesterday out by the lawn cemetery and one of the wheels were off. It was on bricks, the green car, but he is using it on a daily basis apparently, and he's disqualified from driving, isn't he?
He has just recently been disqualified for driving another vehicle that he moved. I'd be surprised if that car has moved, because I've seen it in the same place parked for the last, maybe a week or 2 now. So
With only 3 wheels?
It's parked near the cemetery.
That's right.
So we are aware of where it is. We are looking for any movement on that vehicle. We would urge members of the public to get any information in regards to any new vehicles, because it's all right us having access to that, and we only work on best intelligence. But yeah, as far as we know, that any incidents involving that car, noise nuisance, antisocial behaviour should have stopped as a result from being disqualified.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Robinson.
Yeah, I understand that he was delivering the takeaways.
He was.
And obviously he's having his list slapped for making an out of noise making.
to some extent.
Yeah. Is he also insured for delivering?
He will not be eligible for any insurance at the moment. He's disqualified. He's been banned from driving as a result of any, so he won't be driving for a significant period of time.
Yeah, I understand that, but was he,
Was he insured?
Was one of the offences
insured at the time?
was one of the offences he was prosecuted for no insurance. So there was a no insurance offence, but it was an administrative offence rather than a significant offence. So the offence to have no insurance, if he had no insurance whatsoever, that was flagged upon our database.
Yeah.
What would happen is there is different levels of insurance. So you could go from third party to fully comp, or then there is business insurance. But then there's different levels of business insurance to access the higher reward. One of those he didn't have in place. Although he had insurance to drive his car from A to B, he didn't have the specific insurance to use for his purpose.
That's been taken into consideration.
Yeah, he's been prosecuted for all of those.
But he did use it again, when I heard, does anybody know when we first heard that he'd been stopped? He used it again next day. He drives past my house.
Yeah, there will have been.
Delivering all the time.
There will have been a period of time whilst he said when he was caught for the first hearing,
Right.
but then he will have been allowed to drive whilst they decided what punishment he was going to get.
Yeah.
But the point of being banned that is when
Yeah, that's great.
that stopped.
I haven't heard it since.
Thank you. Councillor Randall.
Yeah, through you, Chair. My concern's not about the report, because the report's very thorough as usual.
Thank you.
I understand there's been quite a lot of concern about the two gentlemen that are living in the public shelter at the Rose Garden.
There are.
Concerns regarding antisocial behaviour, really.
Yeah.
People that are getting off the bus are finding it quite offensive, I think.
Yeah.
I just wondered if the police are doing anything, with regards to that nuisance.
We are trying, and one of our partner agencies is here at the moment, so I can absolutely, if that's okay with yourself, Councillor.
Yeah, as long as anybody else has got any questions they want to ask about the Rose Garden shelter. I don't know if you're aware of how much traction there has been on Facebook and social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as that'd be lovely, thank you.
Okay, my name is Leslie Phillips. I'm a Community Safety Officer for North Yorkshire Council, so I work alongside the police. I also work alongside the Housing Department at North Yorkshire Council. We have been aware for some time that there's been initially one gentleman and then he has attracted other chaps to stay with him at the Rose Garden. We have unfortunately not been receiving any complaints about the antisocial behaviour, and I don't think the police have either.
Can I just say that people have been trying to get through on the 101 number,
Right.
and some people have been hanging on for nearly 40 minutes and have
Yes.
lost the will to live by that stage, so they've not actually stayed online.
Yeah.
And this has been an ongoing problem as well, so locals reporting incidents, I think.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. The reports that we have received are sort of very few and far between in relation. I'm not saying we haven't had any reports at all in relation to the Rose Gardens. The Rose Gardens have been a problem for us as the police for a long time, not just in, it's obviously more to the front now with the gentlemen that are staying there, but we have had ongoing problems there forever since I've worked in the police. A lot youth related to start with walls being damaged, graffiti, damage to the shelter. So it has been a target over a long period of time. This has just amplified it because it is at the forefront and being sort of shared on social media, which we are aware
Yeah,
of.
but with all due respect, talking about the youth, that's caused a lot of issue as well, because when it is youth in there, they get moved on. These people are not getting moved on, but I would just like to bring in Councillor Anthony, please. She had her hand raised.
I've been sort of corresponding with Sergeant Marshall about this because I've had a lot of interaction with some members of the public, and one in particular who did report it. But what came back from Sergeant Marshall was that unless they actually catch them doing something antisocial, they can't do anything about it. And that seems to me that they're not going on in what you call intelligence, that if people actually are reporting it, then surely that should be acted on.
Yeah, that's not necessarily the case. So I'll just correct one thing. The Rose Gardens just haven't been a youth problem. It's been, we have had incidents in there for a long period of time.
I'll just speak it.
Yes, I'll just correct.
Yeah.
So I'll correct myself rather than to make that clear,
Yeah.
so to speak. So it has been a problem since I've worked for filing for this area in Eastfield for probably the last 10 years or more now, in between both areas. And I do recall incidents of various incidents of nature and age related to those shelters. This is just at the more forefront because it's been a hot topic on social media. We we are targeting that area. We do engage with those people on a regular basis. I know them by first name terms, they know me by first name terms, and we do pass by there. If there are any incidents that we witness that we will be able to deal with then and there, if I saw something, observed something, then I would deal with it then and there.
But through you, Chair, with all due respect, that is not solving the problem,
No,
because
no.
you have to wait until you actually see something
No,
happen.
in addition to that, if someone is reporting it to us, if they are reporting it, they will be given the option, depending on what they've seen. If it is a minor antisocial behaviour that's lapsed, if someone rings us to say, there are people in the shelter now and they are causing a noise disturbance, if we are available and we get that information quickly enough, we will be able to go and we will be able to sort the noise disturbance out. That's something that we can't solve retrospectively. Once that noise is gone, we can't then go back and so that incident is done and dusted. So if we are getting reports of that, us as the police, reports like that we can build upon, and then we can do more work with our council colleagues, because they can be able to put stuff in place with that. But that for us as the police, we can only act on then and there. If it's an incident of a more serious nature, if someone rings us to say, I've witnessed this, I've witnessed an assault, I've witnessed something of that nature, and they want to give us a report, they want to give us a statement about that, then we can start an investigation. That is down to that member of public wanting to engage with us, putting themselves in that position of trust. Because ultimately, it's going to be their word of what they've seen in relation to what's happened in that event.
Right, well, I did you want to come back?
Well, I just wanted to say that just confirms what I was thinking, though, that you do actually have to catch them, or there's going to have to be a lot of reports before. Sergeant Marshall did say that he would be involved in other agencies, which I was very pleased about. So I'm
Councillor
glad
Casey.
here.
Yeah, as I understand, there's a CCTV opposite.
There is,
Its rest position is on the gardens, is it? You'll know what you'll level.
It's the road.
It's the road. Well, maybe in its rest position, certainly the evening could be on the rose garden,
We
and
have
then that
asked-
would help gather evidence, wouldn't it?
yeah.
We have asked CCTV to monitor, but as the officer said, it is really difficult to catch them at it. What we need, we have been supporting these people, we've been trying to encourage them into accommodation. Unfortunately, some people make a lifestyle choice, and in certain cases, this is the fact, they are making a lifestyle choice in the way that they are living and sleeping out of doors. That they have the right to do. What they do not have the right to do is impact on the community in an antisocial way. So if they're being antisocial, if they're littering, if they are urinating or defecating, if they are shouting and swearing, that does need reporting. You can report it to the police on an online tool, or using their online reporting tool, or on 101. You can report it to the local authority by calling and asking to log an antisocial behaviour call to the local authority. The thing is, if you report it to the police, it is logged as perfect evidence. So that is why we would always prefer that initially. You can keep antisocial behaviour diary sheets. If people are concerned enough, I will be willing to take a statement, because we can then use civil antisocial behaviour powers, which require a lot less evidence. It's the power of probability against without reasonable doubt.
Okay, thank you. Any of the councillors got any questions regarding the rose garden?
One of the issues that we do have is we don't have any restrictions over alcohol and its consumption in Filey. Scarborough does have it. It might be something that the council wish to look at in the future, to put restrictions on the open use of alcohol.
I thought it wasn't legal to do.
No.
Street.
No, which was a number of the comments that came on social media.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I had my alcohol confiscated off me, I had it taken off me, I was returned home. We have the policing power to do that. There was a race, we shouldn't have alcohol, we can return them back to an adult. These gentlemen that are in those rose gardens are of an age of drinkable responsibility, and as long as they're not committing offences whilst they're doing that, we have limited powers to then move them up.
I was just going to say, sadly, it is a public shelter, isn't it? And it's a public garden, but nobody else dare go there.
Yeah.
And
So that's the issue. Really.
yeah, and the difficulty is they have as much rights as you or I as members of the public in this community, and unfortunately, as part of this community, they have been told that they are investigating a serious assault on one of those gentlemen.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you, Councillor Anderson.
We were going to get an update from Sergeant Marshall on the dams.
Oh, well, so we're coming to that,
Oh,
Councillor
yeah,
Anthony,
yeah,
that's the next. If everybody's finished with the road garden.
Yeah.
No, Councillor Robinson.
Thank you. It's very difficult for people to report and get a number when they can't get through on the phone. That's one of the biggest problems we have.
It is difficult, and the demand across the county, that we obviously have the one control room that are answering those calls as quickly as they can. They are having a significant recruitment campaign to try and get people into the force control. It is a very, very demanding role. It's not a job that I would like to do. They operate under a lot of pressure, and they are trying to fulfil those. We do try to say to people on incidents such as the rose gardens, if it's not immediate, you still need to report it to us, which we are requesting, because then we can do extra work with our council partners. If people have witnessed antisocial behaviour, if they have witnessed any minor incidents, they can report that and they can do it from the online system. I understand that not everyone will have access to that, but the people at the library are brilliant for helping people and guiding through filling out those forms. Not everything has to be reported then and there, but we do need it reporting to be able to deal with it.
We can definitely pass that message on. Do you want to come back there, Councillor?
Just one final thing, what would be the criteria then if this council wanted to pursue is it a PSPO? A Public Space Protection Order?
Yeah, we are going out to consultation again in the next few weeks for the whole of the district. I think North Yorkshire are looking. So we will come and consult. It will be on including the Smiley area, the Public Space Protection area.
Okay,
There's nothing we can do as a council, we'll be waiting to hear from you. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for your report. I do totally appreciate that it's a very difficult and emotive situation for people, and it's a very hard one to manage, and but thank you for your report.
That's answers some of your questions.
So, are you going to speak to us about the dams?
That'll be me.
That'll be you.
It was mainly about the riders and
I don't know this yet.
Yeah. Okay. So have you got a report about the dams that you can fill in any further before I ask members of the public if they've got any questions?
So the dams is one of our priority tasking areas. So we patrol the dams as often as physically possible. Sergeant Marshall has had a look at the reports for the dams, and the report that we fill out as a priority tasking area. So we will be given, as much as we will respond to 999 calls, 101 calls, when we have any downtime, we will defer to what's called the tasking document for us. Areas of interest are added to that tasking document, and then we will fill out a criteria for that. So if we go to the dams, we will put in a report to say we've been there on this time, this date, and this is what we found of witness. We have filled that report out more times than what we have been called, was the update that I've been asked to sort of provide to the council. That's not to say that things aren't happening at the dams. We are aware that things are happening at the dams. It's sometimes, again, it may be people that are frustrated with getting through on those systems. One of the things that happened, I think it was Sunday of last week, was I think someone had got frustrated with those systems and then gone straight directly, rather than ringing us and trying that, they've gone straight to email. If officers hadn't been actually in that email box looking for something else when that email pinged up, we wouldn't have known, but they did, and they saw a response to say that there was potentially people in the dams smoking cannabis. Officers responded to that on Sunday. 12 persons were stop searched in the dams. A quantity of cannabis was obtained and seized, and investigations are ongoing in relation to that. We are aware of the reports that are coming from the dams. We do think that it is a problem area, but maybe not as much as a problem as what it is thought to have been, again, through media, but I'll wait. I know you've got some residents, I'm presuming, is that...
I'm just going to answer the councillors first. Has
Yeah, by all means.
got any questions about the dams? Okay, there's members of the public then, please. Does anybody, member of the public, got anything they'd like to say? Yeah, would you like to stand up, sir, please? Just so that, thank you so much.
My name is Steve Husband, and I am for residents nearby. And firstly, I'd just like to thank you. That might seem slightly out of order from what's been said, but we have noticed, as very close residents, an increased presence of police officers. We did witness the officers turn up for the event that you mentioned, I think Sunday, and we did witness that they did deal with members of the public at that time. And so we were really, really grateful for that. From our perspective as residents, we do seem to see different areas of problems. One is, shall I say, youngsters, I don't know, 10 to 15-year-olds who pass by and cause wanton damage because it seems a good thing to do. We do see slightly older people from, say, maybe 15 up to, I'm guessing, maybe 30, who are coming for recreational drugs in a quiet place where they think they're unseen, and that's not nice for us as residents, but we don't necessarily see them doing damage. And we also do see, which hasn't seemed to have happened in the last 2 weeks, and we think that may be some activity that you don't necessarily need to report to me has been going on, but we have been seeing over the last 2 months or more, on ad hoc evenings, around about 11:30 in the evening, vehicles will arrive, people will seem to pass things to and fro, they don't seem to be at all concerned about making any noise or being conspicuous, and then they disappear, so we take that as being some sort of maybe lower level trafficking. I have no idea whether it's low level, medium trafficking. But for such an area of outstanding beauty that is loved by many people for good reasons, is now being seen for 2 or 3 or so different groups of people as being an area where they're not necessarily seen, where they can come and they can have a bit of vandalistic fun, as they may call it, or other related things. So it isn't one core area of concern for locals, it's 2 or 3 that are not necessarily related. That's our observation, and we are seeing increased ad hoc appearances from you guys. And for that we really do thank you.
Thank you. Wasn't it?
Oh, thank you.
Your summary is pretty much exact, really. The details and incidents that we have had over time are sporadic and very much of different times and different incidents. Some relate to those coming and going from school, and that age group and that time of day when they would be coming from and passing by, and we have things in the streets leading up to that area. Again, we have looked at those, and there are some live investigations and some that have unfortunately proved negative. The email that we got has proved that we've stopped people in there. Damage seems to have stopped, thankfully, but in addition to helping the site, a recent security survey has been conducted by one of our officers and one of the members of the Wildlife Trust, I believe, that look after that. So that has been something that we've engaged to try and help as best as we can, and we will still continue to try and patrol that area. We are aware of the vehicles. We have conducted specific time dates to do them, but they seem very hit and miss as well. We have been given the same times as you, maybe slightly earlier. I think 10 o'clock onwards was the sort of, when we were sort of your local sort of, we were aiming our concentrations on supermarkets and such, finishing, is it a worker that's going there on his way home and partaking in something before. It's that time of 10 o'clock where it seems to be an industry shutting down and all of a sudden somebody's arriving, because it seems to be on days and occasions, but we haven't been able to get them. But if anyone does get any information, registration numbers is a perfect one that we will leave them if you get anything like that, any information, vehicles. We can start and do a little bit more work with that, and even if it's a preventative measure, we don't necessarily have to catch somebody doing something. It's like the other incidents. If it's slow time work, if you get a registration number, this has been involved now in 1, 2, 3 incidents, it might not be that we can prove something, but we can certainly go and knock on the door and ask some awkward questions, and it might not detect anything, but it might stop it.
Okay, thank you. Is that everything you'd like to do?
Yes, thank you.
Well, thank you very much for coming, and thank you for your time, and continue with the marvellous work.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you. Please feel free to leave. Could you make sure you just sign out before you go? And then...
Oh, sorry.
So have you come for your cheque?
Yeah, I really apologise, I got the wrong charge.
That's all right, I think we've given it
I think
to
we've
Paul.
passed it on to Mrs Cassidy Bishop.
Cheers, right?
Paul.
Thank you very much.
Sincere apologies.
No problem at all. You certainly got it.
Miles told me the wrong charge.
Well, there you go. You play, John. Okay. Right, mayoral report. So I've attended 3 events, which was the Expo Renton Scarborough, the Guild Fellowship meeting Farley Methodist, which was very nice, and also the Alderman and the Women's Celebrationary Lunch. So it was very nice of the Mayor of Fylde to be there because two of our own actually were were given awards, which was Councillor Cockle, who had brought his certificate and his badge. This is what you get for 16 years, I do believe, at Scarborough, which 16, yeah, which obviously is no longer available to anybody. And did you got the same?
I've put mine on eBay, nobody's bid on it.
But it's a very nice thing for Fylde to have representation solidly for all those years, so thank you, gentlemen. Yes, Councillor
Could I just say that both Sam and I were very proud to wear our past mayor's badge.
Yeah, lovely, thank you. Well, it is always a proud thing to be, isn't it, so totally appreciate that. So that's what I've been doing on the mayoral side. The chair of the council side, I've been busy with several different issues. I was at a policy meeting yesterday, which was very interesting, and at that meeting I suggested that we possibly contact Mr Clinton at North Yorkshire County Council regarding a point person that we can now go to, because we don't appear to have anybody now Scarborough is no longer here. So the clerk wrote an email and we got a letter back very quickly and felt that it was very well received and that he thought it got made merit. But what I'm going to say is that from that I've had a further conversation earlier on this evening, and we've actually been given a name of the person that is going to be our representative on Scarborough. Sorry, I'm North Yorkshire. Gosh, it's stuck in my brain. Unfortunately, I can't give you their name yet until they've actually confirmed it with the clerk. But the good thing is that we actually have a point that we can go to now, above and beyond our own representative on there, to help, lessen some of your workload, because I'm sure you're exceptionally busy. And we've got lots of projects, which was my biggest concern, that we don't have a beginning, end or middle date for basically the paddling pool, because we've got no more nearer to that. I did also speak to the same person, and Chris Barnes and Andy Crosley, as I'm sure you're aware, is something to do with the paddling pool. So depending on what Zoe tells us this evening, we can write a letter to see when we're going to start with that piece of work. Otherwise the summer will be here and done with before we've even managed to do anything with that. As you all know about the Glen Garden, there's been a little bit of a mishap there with Scarborough taking the fences down before we felt it was properly arranged. But reading the email back, I think the gentleman, the officer, did state that he was happy. If the contractors were happy that the snags and everything else had been met, they can come down. But unfortunately, they didn't convey this to Fylde Council, so we were totally unaware that the park was going to be open. Again, I will leave this for Zoe to bring up, because I do believe she's got an idea of when she might like to do an opening for the council on there. I think that's about everything really that I can actually discuss right now, but I'm happy to take questions regarding chairing the council if anybody's got any questions you'd like to ask. Okay, that's just lovely then. I'll move swiftly on to number 7. So, I'm going to now ask Zoe, the Scarborough Borough Council Officer. Are you still Scarborough Borough Council Officer now? What's your title now?
So it's just same, but just North Yorkshire.
Just North Yorkshire, okay. To provide an update on the investment programmes, we will discuss play parks. If you're wondering why Bonzo's down here, it's just to make sure that the bins are being emptied correctly and since it's been cited. I know it's very popular, it's a lot of people are very happy with it, but it's functional, which is the main thing, so it is being used.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'll hand that over to you then, Zoe, to go through those things for councillors.
Thank you. I'll start with the paddling pool, because you just mentioned it.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, I do not have an update for you. The officer wasn't able to provide me an update when I inquired about this, so unfortunately
from that then, can we just get the clerk to write to Mr Crosley, Andy Crosley and Chris Vaughan for a complete update, project, start, the whole situation information as regarding to that, because we need to have definite information. If you could follow that up as well,
yes,
that would be great. Thank you.
Yes, not a problem. The play parks, so Cocktail, I'm aware that there's been a few complaints raised with regard to a few issues going on there. These have been brought up with Steed again. The tarmac path, so that is due to be dug out and relaid in areas where the weeds are coming through, so that will be redone. The grass areas will be subject to some additional tidying up, that will be completed, and the swing frames will be repainted and a new cradle seat will be fitted. I haven't got any timescales when this will take place. Again, work quite closely with the project officer, so we'll endeavour to get that information for you. in relation to Glen Gardens, so we're almost there with the last little bits that need to be done. Obviously we're aware it's now been opened. The paths at Glen Gardens are due to be retopped, and this will start at the end of next week. The 3 new benches that have been put in need to have cast concrete bases provided. Wicksteed will be completing that piece of work. And the entrance piers, which were raised a little while ago, are to be repaired. This has been pushed forward this week with Wicksteed. Obviously we decided that we would move forward with this piece of work once the majority of the work in Glen Gardens had been finished, to avoid any further disruption there, and so they're all underway. In terms of an opening for Glen Gardens Play Park, we have proposed next Wednesday, the 19th of April. 11 o'clock is the time that we're proposing to do that, so all are welcome to join. We're just currently in the arrangements of organising who will be coming along to support that in terms of photography, so as soon as I have the finer details I will make sure that that's circulated with everyone.
Can I just ask if there are the children coming to that one?
I've invited, I haven't heard back
Right,
yet, so the junior school and the infant school have both been invited.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the toilets. Again, unfortunately I haven't had an update on the toilets. I don't know what the progress was. Did you write to...
Yes, we've written a note. I've spoken with Lisa Dixon today, excuse me, and pushed home our absolute dismay at still not having anything offered to us, no porta cabins or anything else. I have had a conversation with Councillor Cross, and there was a discussion that if they can't give us any, which they should, and absolutely should, I'm not backing down on this, but to let the middle toilets be free as a compromise if we can't get anything down on Copper Landing. But we are still pushing for the toilets on Copper Landing, and we will continue to do so.
I did some voluntary list picking yesterday, and we went behind the toilet, and people are using them as public toilets. Yeah. I reported it to the council, and they are coming to clear the Cobble Landing toilets that are short. We went behind and did some list picking, and it wasn't listed that we found there. So people, human beings, are using them as public toilets.
Benefit is that the name of the contact that we have at North Yorkshire, which I'm sorry I can't release as yet, this is the first thing that I will be picking up with this person, and I will be inviting them to Filey to have a walk round to see the dire state it is. And we've gone through Easter with it, so as it is, and it's just not acceptable.
And we did the plenty of tea.
Yes, plenty of tea, and then walk them down.
Yes, okay. Any update I get, as always, I will share. So the Filey Community Partnership, moving on. The drop-in session last week went exceptionally well. We had over 70 plus people that attended who had signed in. I think there were a few more that didn't sign in, which is an amazing response. Real positivity, lots of people were interested, lots of people were asking questions. There was a lot of people that were networking and able to meet other people, so that was really beneficial. The session is also going to be rerun again on the 24th of April, so that will be 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. for people that have been unable to attend. At this point, people were able to take a nomination form as a resident, so as we discussed at the last full council, so that process of the resident nominations has begun. This will run up until the 12th of May, which will be the closing date. I'm currently working with comms at the new council just to make sure that we get this out to the public. There has been a couple of delays with that, unfortunately, with the LGR process, but we're working on getting that out as soon as possible. So following the closing date of the applications, the 7 residents will be able to be selected through the nomination process with an independent panel, and again the Filey Town Council, you'll be able to pick your elected members who you wish to be a part of the executive board. I don't know if anyone's got any questions about that.
Has anybody got any questions about so far where we've got to? Is it May the election for the councillors for there?
I believe it's the AGM 25th of May, is it?
Yeah, 25th. Just so you all know, if you'd like to put yourself forward, along with everything else that happens on that date when we all stand down from committees and stand back again. So.
And finally, it's really just looking for some approval. So I've put this together, the little fact sheet, which we've mentioned, I think it was at the last full council meeting. So really, this is just for people to look at who are wanting to be involved in the process, whether be an elected member, a resident, a stakeholder, just so that people can read this and just kind of really kind of understand a little bit more in a bit more detail, rather than, you know, just looking at the forms, looking at the flow chart, just to give a little bit more detail so that people can kind of read, ask questions, know who to contact.
So are you looking for someone to propose this for the council to adopt, that you can use this?
That would be great if possible, yes, please.
Anybody got any questions? Councillor Cockrell.
Yeah, just make one comment. I think we're all fine, apart from the Vision for Filing newsletter.
Yeah.
You can hardly make out the sketch. In fact, it was only when the light hit a certain angle that I saw the legislature.
Okay, I don't know if that's just the printing, but yeah, you're right, you can't really see that. If I'm honest, yeah, this blue is a little bit bluer than I would like. I would prefer like a blue that's this kind of shade. You were happy with that? So just to touch upon this, so this won't be anyway taking over the Farleigh Town Council newsletter. This was just a suggestion of something that was mentioned quite some months ago, really, as something that a piece of work that I could do for the residents and community, purely for the Vision for Farleigh community process, so that people can get updates, whether that be, I don't know how often it will work, fortnightly, monthly, bi-monthly, whatever works best, so that people can just be kept in the loop of what is happening.
Sorry, through your chair, is it more likely to be online?
It could be, it will be, I guess,
Yeah.
the main point of contact to share it would be online, but we could put them out there as well into the community.
So does anybody wish, you want them both to be looked at separately? So
if possible, that would be great, thank you.
So, has any councillors wish to propose the Farleigh Council take this and use this? Is there Councillor Cockrell, you'll propose? You'll second? Thank you, then can we have a vote, please? Janine? Sorry, Councillor Robinson? No? Yep, so that's everybody, thank you.
Thank you.
And then, just to do the second one here, I'm not too sure how you all feel about, are you happy to have this sent out? Well, via Zoe?
Just to add, sorry, obviously what I will do, I won't just put out into the public domain. I'll share, make sure you're happy with it. I'll get the colour changed on it and send it round again so you can see it.
Are you all happy with that once it's colour corrected and everything?
Yeah.
Okay, are you proposing that, Councillor Randall? Are you happy with Councillor to propose it and seconder? Thank you, Councillor Anthony, and everybody happy with that? Yep, no, Councillor Casey? Yep. That's it. Anything else, Zoe, there?
No, that's it for me.
Has anybody got any questions? Thank you, Councillor Cockrell.
Yeah, it's not directly related to Zoe, but some of you will remember that when Mark II of the wooden Bonzo was installed on Covell Landing, we said it had been put flat on the ground and it had needed raising up. That was years ago. Can we chase it? I don't know whether Zoe can chase it, but it wants lifting up, even just an inch off the ground, so that it doesn't rot like the first one did.
Yes, Councillor Cameron.
Sorry to bring it up again, but I'm getting a lot of questions about the paddling pool. If we're not in a position to do the full refit, can we at least clean up the existing facilities, paint the bottom of the paddling pool to make it usable for this season?
I think, from my understanding, is that we're going to write a strong letter to Andy Crosby to find out exactly where we are, because the last I heard about it, we were virtually ready to go. It was ready to be done, it was just the timing. And since this has happened with Scarborough Council and the North Yorkshire, the officers that were in charge seem to have got different roles, and unfortunately we aren't get any information. But as I say, I do have a point of contact now, so not only will the toilet, but you can paddle in the pool as well. But it was ready to go, so hopefully we can continue like that. Councillor Robinson.
Apparently, if I remember rightly, we can't do a temporary fix because the equipment has to be put in first.
The pumping system.
No,
the play equipment. Yeah. So, yeah. But yes, thank you. We can definitely catch up on that. And as I say, with regards to toilets, we will write letters and find out where we are with that and try and get Get answers, really, that's what we need, isn't it? Answers to the people that we serve.
We need to shout at people.
Right, okay, is that everything then, Zoe? And nobody's got any further questions? If not, I will release Zoe of her duties if you'd like to leave. Thank you. And I'm sure she'll let everybody know the actual time for the opening of Glen Gardens.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will
She'll confirm.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, number 8, Borough and County Council's reports. Councillor Casey, have you got anything of your last 2 weeks that you'd like to say? I know you finished, but...
No, I finished. I was to say, apart from, these learned colleagues of mine who got really important awards, I got a paperweight.
A paperweight?
Certificate. Fantastic. Mine's on eBay as well.
What paperweight?
Did you get any bids on it?
Not yet.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Randall?
Can I just thank the Borough Council for their contribution for this representing Filey on Scarborough Borough and the benefits. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Councillor Cockrell, I know you've put a report in. Has anybody got anything that they would like to ask regarding his last report as Scarborough Borough Council, or anything you need to update?
No, the only thing, just out of interest, and being a sad geek with spreadsheets, I actually totted up the mileage I've done in 16 years. 34,000.
Good Lord,
And that equates to how much in pounds?
A lot of that was going up to Whitby
Yeah.
for the harbour.
You're not going to Russia and back then, like others have been.
Sorry,
couldn't help myself on that one. Self-explanatory there. Anyway, Councillor Cross, have you got anything regarding your Scarborough side before we get on to
No,
you?
I'll combine them all into the
Thank you. Then can we just go straight to your county council report?
Yeah, I just want to touch on a few things that the police were talking about. I'm in regular conversations with Sergeant Adam and Inspector Shaw, and they are very concerned about the areas. And it's not just the dams. We do have incidents of antisocial behaviour elsewhere. The Country Park, end of Queen Street here, and they are aware, and I think there is a positive. Can't say we're better than the last one we had, but can't say that. But he's more proactive and he's very keen on Friday to try and get the job done properly. So I'm pleased from that where it's going. Following on from that, the CATS meetings will be starting again in Friday. The first one is due on the 13th of July. I'm just trying to sort of get a speaker out.
Can't we have one earlier than that?
Well, it's just getting timings and everything.
Is that here?
That's going to be here, yeah. And so I'll be going now. Because we've got to go to the other parishes in the area as well to advise them, Hunland Bay, Eastfield, Reedon, Speak, and all the places in between. And as far as the 101 line, the police still realise that there's a problem locally. There's no problems that, if you're lucky, and they've had instances where it's been answered within 6 minutes, and that's a record for answering the 101 calls, because most of them are 3/4 of an hour. And basically what happens is you ring 101, the operators are busy answering 999 calls because they're priority. So when they're not answering 999 calls, they switch to the 101 calls. And there's a programme on earlier on this week, and it was police in North Yorkshire. I don't know if you saw it, but I think we do live in a beautiful part of North Yorkshire, and we're very lucky that it's not as bad, as it is in York and certain other areas in North Yorkshire. So we ought to be pleased, that we do live in a beautiful place with a good less issues. Yeah. So that's just one point on that. Then I go on to my report. A couple of things that I really want to add on that, and one or two things I want to talk about. Firstly, I did speak to Richard Clinton, the Chief Executive, 2 months ago. I sat in his office and I mentioned that we did have a good relationship with Lisa Dixon, as I mentioned to the Mayor, and that we do need somebody there, and we do need somebody because we have got a lot of projects on the go. Filey does one good thing, it invests in itself. The people of Filey invest in themselves. And I'm pleased that somebody has been at last. And I think they're going to do that with all the major towns in North Yorkshire. So that is one thing. Really, I'd add to my report there, I'd like you all to look at the North Yorkshire Council website and see what you think to it and give me some feedback on that. Food Festival was excellent at the weekend. I think the Evans Centre team do a fantastic job, and it was nice to see RMP there. They did see me walking around Rex Ellison. The golf is now finished. It's now run, previously it was run by outside, the golf now run by inside. There's been problems with the country park, the sinking of caravans. Still trying to get a response with regard to the closed toilets, but there is a report that a resident has through Freedom of Information where he's got pictures of the drain, and they reckon that, you know, they should be able to sort it out, so we're trying to work on that, but the officers are fighting probably against it, but you know, we're working.
Sorry, Councillor Cross, is the drain down the Cobble Landing?
The Cobble Landing, yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
because
just
I've
the
also
sort of
been,
route,
yeah.
There is a video of that, and I'm trying to get my hands on it. So that's happening. Zoe did well with the community partnership. I was actually amazed the number of people there. I thought it was going to be really quiet, and you know, these were people over here. Walk around Fire with Andrew Sampson. I think the biggest problems that we do have is the road and the station road roundabout. You know what I mean? Carl Battersby, who is one of the directors, I've got to get Carl here, and he's also in charge of the toilets as well.
Right.
You know, that's now fall in his remit. And as I mentioned in my last point there, the last meeting of North Yorkshire County Council, that was the greatest place in North Yorkshire, here in Firey on Friday the 31st, and really that's my report.
The gentleman that you just said is the toilet, is that something that we as a council can also address independently from yourself as the representative?
Yeah, well, effectively what's happened is, and we've seen this, Paul Thompson
he's gone.
He's gone.
Got a different job.
Lisa's dealing with evolution and other bits and pieces.
I just felt to that that's right.
Yeah. Carl Battersby is the guy that's actually dealing with it, and I do understand that there is a resident in deep conversations within at present about the toilets.
Push it further forward. Yes, thank you, Councillor Hargate.
Now that's Carlton's finished, you know the bin in the Everham Centre, the bin collection area in the Everham Centre, we're dealing with that now. The bins that are in the Everham Centre, the commercial bins.
Commercial bins.
In North Yorkshire.
Because there's going on and on and on with the same business that just absolutely makes an absolute mockery of that bin area. It's absolutely disgusting.
Is that one particular business?
Yes.
Yeah, well, tell me afterwards.
You know what I mean? But what I'm saying, I know they've been told before about it, they've been told many times about it, but I mean, this week, the dustbin men had to go and sweep up before they could even get any of the bins out of the place, and the same business that's causing the problem all the time. It's been going on for a long, long time.
I'll speak after. I just want to add one thing on bins. The Food Festival, the bins were absolutely heaving throughout Firey over the weekend, and we only had two young lads driving the wagon at that, and they were working sterling, emptying the bins. You know what I mean? Normally there would be 2 or 3 teams on, and they actually did all the work and were doing a fantastic job. So I know we can sometimes knock North Yorkshire officers at a higher level, but you know, the guys on the food do a fantastic job.
Because it was exceptionally busy too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Robinson.
Can I ask Councillor Cross if when he's walking around with Mr Stanton, he can take him up West Road?
I did take him up West Road, and he's addressing certain issues up there, and I'll speak to you after the meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Anthony.
A couple of things. The first thing is, can you pass on concerns about meetings not being recorded? We used to knowing everything that's going on with Scarborough. Now there's these things going on, we haven't got a clue. Some meetings, you know, the Council of North Yorkshire. It would be really good if we could start. I know a lot of people have expressed that.
I'm fully in favour of it. One of the other problems that they're actually doing is they're actually almost stopping councillors asking questions at meetings.
that's dreadful.
You know what I mean? Unless you can't sort of, you've had because, you know, we've got a main council meeting, and something could happen 3 or 4 days before when you've got a council meeting, and unless you've got 5 or 6 day notice to the portfolio holder, you can't sort of stand up and say, you know what I mean? That's the question.
And number 2, talking of pavement, there's been a lot of conversations going on about up by the church, by St Oswald's, the pavements around there.
Yeah.
With there being a lot of older people, you know, in that area, the flats and everything, that some of them are saying they can't get out with the walkers. And
I'll go over
difficult. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor
Could I
Robinson?
just comment on the last thing you mentioned, which is not being allowed to speak at meetings? We have the same thing with this council. If you don't tell the clerk to put it on the agenda, you can't speak. And if something's happening 2 or 3 days before, you can't put it on the agenda, can you?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are ways of overcoming that.
Yeah, they are ways, but you know what I mean, they are stifling debate.
So our agenda goes out 1 week before, so it's not like it's going out 3 weeks before, but I do appreciate your point. Okay, that's everything. Thank you,
No,
Councillor
it's fine.
Cross. If nobody's got any further questions, I'll move on to the Town Park and RFO report. So, anybody got any questions? The only thing I would like to say before you actually get asked the park any questions, just in support of this, because I forgot to mention it at mine, is for all councillors to contact the clerk prior to posting anything regarding Filey Town Council on social media. If you're speaking as an independent person, but if you're speaking on behalf of the council or sharing council information, can you please make sure you've all got it clarified via the clerk before it goes out, because it is misinformation can be given. That's all I would like to say in support of that. Thank you, Councillor Anthony.
Just looking at some of these, they're not up to date. Number 5, Vision for Filey, it says it's been accepted in principle, but it's now been fully adopted. And things on the museum, we're a lot further on, we're a bit further on than that.
Well, this was written 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Anybody else got anything that they would like to say regarding the report? Okay, thank you. So on to number 10 then, minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on Wednesday the 8th of March. So you've all had a view. Thank you, Councillor Cockburn.
Yeah, I've got a couple of
Queries?
concerns. At 163/22/23.1, there is a reference to the makeup of the Filey Community Partnership. At the second bullet point, it states, the next steps include establishing board members for the FCP. The board would consist of 6 elected members, including the county council, and 7 community resident volunteers. As written, that means there will be 6 elected members to 7 residents. When it was agreed there would be equal representation, I would suggest the word including needs changing to the word plus. So it would read, the board would consist of 6 elected members plus the county councillor.
Yes, thank you. Is everybody happy with that? Are you found that work the point that Councillor Cockburn was making on your notes?
Yes.
Yeah, you found it, and would you like a repetition of what is to be changed to?
I'll just modify this by hand.
Yeah.
Change to plus, so we can move it on and have it signed.
Thank you. Anything else, Councillor Cockburn?
Yeah, and additionally, there is no county council, so there are no county councillors. So I would suggest for correctness that the word county is removed and substituted with the words North Yorkshire before council.
And that's very doable.
And that will mean that Councillor Cross needs a new sign in front of him.
Indeed he does. Thank you for that.
And then at 165/22/23, it states that I suggested consideration could be given to providing audio recordings. What I actually suggested was that we should investigate how we could improve the quality and clarity of the audio recordings.
Have you found that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Yes, because I do recall a conversation we were saying if you get clarity with these four, yeah. Anybody else got any questions that they would like to ask before we move those minutes? So with the changes that we're doing, is everybody happy to move the minutes? Yeah. Councillor Howgate?
I haven't got a meeting, so I can't move it.
Right, so can I have a proposer then, please? Thank you, Councillor Cochrane, the seconder, Councillor Randall, and then I'll agree.
And which meeting was this?
This is the minutes of the last full council.
Oh, right, yes, okay.
Okay, that's everybody apart from Councillor Howgate, because he wasn't here. You got that one? Yeah, you're all right. I know it's difficult when Right, so number 11, council committee meetings and reports from local organisations. Property, is there anything that you'd like to say, Councillor Cochrane, as chair of property to us, or are you happy with the original?
Well, I can give you an update because we had another meeting yesterday.
Thank you.
Parish Wood, the construction of the pedestrian path through Parish Wood has been completed, although there is a slight modification to be installed where the new footpath meets the Sycamore Avenue footpath. The area at the entrance in front of the main gate has been seeded and barried off to allow the grass to grow mature. And we are discussing a suitable but low-key opening event together with appropriate publicity. Memorial Gardens. The remaining birds have been rehoused and the aviary removed from site. Consideration as to the future of the area vacated by the aviary has been given by the committee, which feels a quiet sensory area is the most appropriate. To this end, we are speaking to appropriate people to get further ideas as to the detail. The review of the policy about the permitted uses of the area has been undertaken. Following checking, the reworded document will be shown to the Filey branch of the Royal British Legion, and as the policy is an important document, it will be laid before a future meeting of the Town Council for approval. The museum. Colleagues will be aware that a survey by a local builder has been received. Due to the implications of the building being listed, the Property Committee has engaged a specialist company to conduct an in-depth survey of the building to ensure that the requirements of the respective legislation is adhered to. There are a couple of items that require attended to quickly, and we are progressing with our contractor. The bandstand. The work to totally refurbish the bandstand is planned to start next week, and the refurbished bandstand is scheduled to be complete well in time for the coronation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody got any queries or questions? I think that was quite a detailed report.
Yeah, could I just comment that the property committee yesterday, it was suggested by one of the members that we use a garden specialist.
I think it's
landscape.
Yeah.
That's what I mentioned.
Right, thank you. But I think that was assumed that it was agreed that we would get a landscape gardener in when there was never a vote on it.
Now we're trying to identify a couple of organisations or individuals that will give us some advice, and then that will come back to the committee.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just I believe that the councillor that brought it up assumed we were definitely getting a landscape gardener in. And I don't think we are.
Well, we're getting information out.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Councillor Casey?
No, I'm changing your mind.
Okay, thank you. So on to events and lighting, which I do believe that Councillor Anthony did this last time. Have you got any reports from Chair?
No, things are just ongoing. Oh, events and lighting, sorry. I'm on Mass and Garage, sorry.
Did you share the Councillor Randall if she was unavailable?
Oh, yes. No, things are just moving on the party in the park, which is going to be on, we keep getting the dates wrong, don't we? Sunday the 7th of May, and the big help out, which will be on Monday the 8th of May, which will be at St John's Church. So we should hopefully be getting all that information together in the next couple of days and getting that out there.
And am I right to suggest that we still haven't heard from the palace regarding any,
No, we've had nothing.
any procedures that the council wish to do it?
There's no protocol being
Right,
given out
thank you.
at all.
Councillor Randall?
I was just going to say,
Oh.
sorry. I understand the town crier does have a role. He's supposed to be doing some kind of... I don't think he's been...
He hasn't been informed yet, so the last time I spoke to him, which was a couple of weeks ago, he had heard nothing, and as of yet he's never been able to say, are you aware of this? And that's the norm for him. If he does have any information, he will share it.
I do think we were quite late knowing when the Queen died there, weren't we? It was only about 10 days after, well, no, it wasn't, obviously it can't be 10 days after she died, but it wasn't, we didn't wait a long time for information for that, did we? Because it was a quick moving thing. This is...
The proclamation was more about the proclaiming of the new king, not the death.
Can I just add on the events and lighting as well, that a few of us on the events and lighting committee did a walk around with some officers from North Yorkshire, the electrical engineers, and we actually looked at where we had placed our Christmas lights in the past few years, and looked at some of the issues that we've been having, and they have said that they will help us to try and put those areas right. There's a lot of electrical work that needs updating, so we're hoping that in the next couple of weeks we will be able to move that forward. Also we will be recommissioning the next year, well this year, the Christmas lights with a different company.
Councillor Cockle.
Just to add to that, I think we need to make it clear that the officers of, keep wanting to call them county, the new council are adamant that there is nothing wrong with their electrical supply. It's things that have been added on afterwards. And the whole system, from their point of energy supply, has shall we say, evolved rather than being designed.
Chair of Finance, is there anything that you would like to say, Chair of your committee? Chair of Planning? No, you're fine. Map and Guide, Chair of Map and Guide, Councillor Anthony, please.
Yes, Councillor Casey stood down as chair and I put myself forward. Things are just moving on with, getting the new, what do we call it?
Guide.
Getting the new guide so we're still getting we're getting things in from that, so thank you.
When is that meant to be completed?
I'll have to ask the ex-chair.
Well, we need everything to go to press by November, December for production in the new year. But it's well in progress.
We're ahead of schedule.
And we had that have right to the printing, so I presume that's gone up quite considerably.
We're
And are we budgeted?
printing not top of my head, because I'm not sure anymore. We're printing less copies.
The printing has been budgeted for, and it was anticipated that there could be a higher. Hence, I think the budget meeting we did actually say that the numbers that we're printing, we have in fact brought it down instead of being 10,000 to 8,000.
Okay, thank you.
Which has brought it back in line with the budget.
I know that the Chair of Staffing, you can't say an awful lot, but staffing meetings are still going ahead.
Yes, and we do have one listed for next week.
Okay. Well, that's fine. Anybody from any local organisations would like to say that they stand on? Yes, Councillor Robinson.
I would like to ask Deputy Mayor if she's heard anything from the Old-Sixties Club.
I have had conversations with the gentleman concerned who failed to give me a copy of the Constitution, and I have been waiting for that for about 9 months now. So I did say, because I had another engagement, that I wasn't able to actually go to their AGM, so I'm not sure whether the AGM actually took place.
I think the clerk may have some extra information.
I bumped into Sue Bournemouth yesterday, and I brought it to her attention. Well, she actually asked me whether or not anything had happened. She has got 3 constitutions, all of which are different, and at the moment the controlling body of the group is the WRVS, which in fact doesn't exist any longer. So she is attempting to get the committee to sort of produce a new constitution. There are a number of sort of standard constitutions for similar organisations online, and but it's proving quite difficult to get people to understand that that is what is needed to allow them to move forward. And she is absolutely in unison with yourself, Councillor Randall, in terms of no member of Filey Town Council should chair their meetings. You are not a member of that committee, therefore you should not be chairing the meeting.
I think in support of the councillors, I think the councillors were very aware they shouldn't have been chairing it, but were asked to do so by members of that group. Just to clarify that, because to support the councillors here, they are fully aware of their positions on outside bodies.
Well, I knew that Councillor Deputy Mayor was not able to go, and I decided that I wouldn't go because they'd sent us no constitution, they'd not sent us an agenda, and I thought, well, I'm not going to walk in or ride in, as the case may be, and be told you're holding a meeting.
No.
So I chose not to go.
Okay, thank you.
Nobody informed me that it was even happening, other than Councillor Randall.
I think the general gist of it is that the over 60 club sadly is in a state of chaos.
Yeah.
So until we hear further from them, we just have to sit tight, don't we?
Well, thank you for your report, Councillor Anthony, regarding the allotments. That was very informed. I was quite surprised at the balance of their books, but there we go. That was enjoyable reading. Yes, certainly.
I think, as with other groups, they do have money put by for certain projects and things. It's not, I mean, it's a healthy balance, but it's perhaps not all it is. So.
No, okay. And I'm sorry, Councillor Casey, I know I'm a representative of Fire and Bloom, but I'd say I haven't been. Is there anything that you'd like to pass with regards to what Fire and Bloom are doing? Or?
Well, we were going to hold we'd already organised an individual event on the 8th of May prior to the council organising this event in St John's Church, so we decided to join you there. And do that, and it's our AGM in May, so all the positions up for re-election. I'm standing now as secretary.
Standing as chair?
I know I'm not. I've got dead woman's shoes on.
You're dead.
So apart from that, everything's hunky dory and everything's going well.
Okay, thank you. And all I can say is about the Fishermen's Trust at St Oswald, I still haven't been to anything as yet, because we've got no new Reverend in place as yet, as far as I'm aware. So once that starts, I'm sure we will be invited to that. Anybody else on the outside bodies? Councillor Cockrell.
Yeah, couple landing users.
Thank you.
The latest meeting was held in March, and it was actually attended by the new executive member from the new council. The most noticeable matters were in regard to the delay in cleaning of the cobble landing and relocation of some vessels, both of which are months overdue. This afternoon I received a phone call from Councillor Derek Bastman, who sits on the executive for the new council, and one of his responsibilities is for the harbours of Whitby and Scarborough together with Cobble Landing. He is setting up a working group to look at the future for the three undertakings, probably looking at the next 10 years. Due to my experience having the harbours in my previous cabinet remit for 8 years, together with the other experience at Bridlington Harbour, he's approached me to see if I would be interested in bringing my overall experience to the working group. Councillor Bastman wishes to have the town council involved, so my involvement, if agreed, would be as a representative of the town council, if this is accepted this evening.
This is a new position.
Yeah, it's just a working group he's setting up.
How does that sound to the citizens? Everybody open it?
The it can be open to everybody if required, but if Councillor Cockrell wishes to put himself forward, then there will be a vote.
And you're happy to put yourself forward? Yeah. Okay. Is anybody else wishing to put themselves forward to this group? If not, I'm happy to second Councillor Cockrell.
Yeah.
Okay, you're happy for Councillor Cockrell to sit as town council representative on this new group?
Thank you.
Thank you. That's that then. Okay, so that's quite a lot of information we've had there about outside bodies. If everybody knows anything else they'd like to add, I will now move on to schedule of payments. Which is very tiny, don't you can read that. Has anybody got any queries regarding this, please? If you're happy with it, could I have a proposer?
One bit of information. As you're saying, you've already experienced this because you managed to make sense of this, but you can see there's a huge number of entries for Corona Energy.
Yeah.
Now, one of the major problems on that is that they now don't come and read the meters. So I have asked them, and I'm going out tomorrow to actually physically read the meetings on the two roundabouts, which is the area of concern, because they keep doing an estimate, a standard estimate, then they go and look at last year's usage and say, oh, that's too much, and give us some back. And this continually happens on a month-by-month basis, so we have a huge number of credits and debits. And the way it's written is the only way that we can make sense of it in terms of the accounting procedures.
That helps anybody make sense of the payment. Yes. Councillor Casey.
Could we not make the type a little bit bigger, because I couldn't read it?
Yes, very difficult.
That's what it's calling.
Unless you get it on an A3 sheet of paper, no.
Is it not on the...
It is online, and you can increase the size when you look at it on your...
It always used to be easy to read on these.
This is just the fact that there's so many lines on this.
Okay, so everybody's happy with this then. I applaud you, Deputy Clerk, for all your hard work to get this looking very small with lots of lines. So I have a proposal and a second for those then, please. Everybody's happy. Councillor Robinson, are you proposing? Thank you. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Howgate, and is everybody happy? Right, that's everybody then, thank you. So this is the last one on the agenda for this evening, which is the puppy. So the council to consider whether to visit the auction for the purchase of one or more of the puppies, and what control measures required, if any, for bidding. So you've all had your information regarding the puppy. Clark.
Right, I've done a bit of digging, and there are 14 puffins that are available for, or will be put as lots for bidding. The current bids on them vary from £30 to approximately £300. The information I've received from the auctioneer is that those prices are likely to be very much exceeded, with somewhere between £2,000 to £5,000 as the more likely price that we're going to have. And the auction happens on the Saturday the 13th of May. I've also investigated, if we do go down the path, how in fact we would pay for it, because normally in these events it's pay on the day, and as the council hasn't got any payment cards, that can't be done.
I can pay for it, and then you can pay me.
Yeah.
We agree.
Yeah, well, of course.
It was agreed.
I'm putting in my back garden.
Yeah, I mean it can be done that way, but in terms of it, they're quite happy for them to accept our bid, as long as we pay it within the next working day. They will then release it for
which we can now do with the online banking. So what's the council's thoughts regarding the puppins? Councillor Cockle and Councillor Robinson, then Councillor Cron.
Yeah, I've done similar investigative work, and yes, they said similar items that the guide price would be anywhere between £2,000 and £6,000. They expected they would probably go between 3 and 5. As they went through the 14, the price would go up and up. I've actually got my catalogue. Some of them look very nice.
Yeah, they do.
Some of them look
not so nice. Not so nice.
There was one I felt just like eating. It was just like a big bar of chocolate.
This one's nice, isn't it? With the puppin with the...
There are a number which I think would be appropriate to find.
Yeah.
Of course, on top of the big price, there's a premium. Then there's transport, then there's installation, how we do it. There's all kinds of things. Personally, I don't think we can justify it.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Robinson?
Yes, does anyone know how long they've actually been in Bridlington?
They've been there for 18 months.
Right, and
And
then,
they were painted by various artists.
yeah, but also they've needed TLC. So if we bought one and if we put it on the seafront, how long is it going to be before we're going to spend money on getting it repainted?
Are they not fit for purpose when they put them back out for auction? Do they not make them...
Oh yes, they're all
They're all
been,
hard work done.
yeah. But if they've only lasted as new for 18 months, it doesn't seem like much time. I mean, if it said 3 or 4 years.
I don't know what condition they're in, Councillor Robinson, sorry, I don't know. I just felt before they came to auction they'd all be repaired and ready to go.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, okay.
But why do they need repainting after 18 months?
Because the fellows are not things, but yeah.
Exactly.
Councillor Cront.
I was going to say what Councillor Cockle was saying,
Okay. Councillor Casey?
Well, I don't think we should go for it because the cost it's not a cost we can afford, and it's getting permission to put them somewhere, finding somewhere to put them. The installation, like Councillor Cockle said, it just seems a waste of time to me.
Would you like to say anything,